Hello and welcome to this video where we will be discussing what went wrong with the recent SpaceX test flight of SN8. I will watch the launch with you, explaining every little detail of the launch, and then I will jump into the sim to help you visualize what happened up to 12.5 kilometers in the air on your very screen. Let's get into it. Let's tune in. So what we're seeing at the moment is the fuel being pumped into the Raptor engines and the Raptor's igniting. The Starship is slowly taking off, but all rockets start off slowly and quickly accelerate. As you can see in the bottom right corner, the Raptor engines are currently close together. You might see that change later on in this launch. So far it was going well. It was steadily accelerating, going in a straight line, and surprisingly, it wasn't rolling that quickly. You'd expect a rocket with flaps and wings to be rolling to even out the weight, but clearly, Starship does not have to do that. The Raptors are in the midst of their heavy fire, and Starship is soon going to reach the point where it won't need all of its engines at full throttle. As you can see in the top right corner, the joints on Starship are slightly rusty, but that's okay. SN8 has been built for a long time. Oh, there, an engine just cut off. Some people thought it was an explosion or failure, but it's okay. And over there, that's not a bad fire. It's just some engine fumes sticking onto the rocket, but now they're out, so it's okay. So now the acceleration of Starship has slowed down. It only needs 2 engines, and as we saw with previous 150 meter hops, Starship can fly with an engine off-center. The engines are wobbling, but that's okay. In fact, the technical term is gimbaling. It's just so that it stays on track. After all, the engines are on one side. We're soon going to see another engine cut off, but don't panic. It's also supposed to happen. Also, that white line of smoke coming out, that's just fuel being pumped out to decrease pressure in certain areas, so that's okay. You can also see the ice on Starship, the white stuff, around the bottom half, and it's quite a good representation of how much fuel we have there. Another engine just went quite dramatically, but it's okay. Starship at the moment is doing a sort of 150 meter hop like it did with SN4, 5 or 6. It's just hovering with its thrust off axis, gimbaling heavily. As you see, the engines are now far apart. This is so that the remaining engine can keep Starship on track. You can also now see that Starship has moved out into the sea or Gulf, but it's soon going to turn around. It's just a matter of time before it does that. That white fume is still fuel being vented to decrease pressure. It was all looking good, let's say. Okay, now we're seeing Starship go slightly more towards land, and its final engine is, I believe, about to cut. Don't panic about the smoke. As I said, it's fuel being vented, just like on airliners, to decrease pressure or make the aircraft lighter. There, we just had the final engine cut off, and Starship is about to, well, it already is, getting into the belly flop maneuver. You can see it is now very much over land, and you can see the flaps moving quite a lot. That's a good thing. It means that the flaps are working. The flaps are a bit like grid fins. I'll tell you a bit more in the second part of this video, where I'll do the hop or flight for myself and show you what went wrong. It's all going well, this launch at the moment. Now it's just a matter of waiting until the belly flop maneuver happens, where Starship gets off its belly flop position and goes to a normal rocket position before touching down. That should happen just about 10 seconds past the 6-minute mark, in about 15 or so seconds. Okay, so now we're getting into the end of the belly flop maneuver, and as I said, around now it's slowly gonna be turning, those are just clouds, it's slowly gonna be turning to a normal 90-degree angle. Here we go. The engines should ignite. Yes, they all ignited in unison. As you see, they are moving apart and the belly flop is done. But there's some green, that's not good. And a rapid unscheduled disassembly. You can't even see the skeleton of the rocket. It's totally gone, as you can see when the smoke disappears. There's no rocket, it's just fallen into literally millions and millions of tiny pieces, less than a meter squared in size each. But first, let's remember SN8 and the sacrifice it made for all mankind. Let's drop into the flight sim to see where this all went wrong. Let's get into it. SN8 took off. Admittedly, it had a smooth and more elegant takeoff than I gave Starship in this simulation. I was trying to keep the AOA around 0, just like on Starship, to try and land on the pad. It was going sort of smoothly. I had to shut down the engines to save fuel for landing, and I did a backflip as I was supposed to. But I forgot to turn the heat shield towards the ground. But it was okay, it's only a 12.5 kilometer hop after all. I fired the Raptor engines to get me back on course, but on second thought, I shouldn't have done that, because I was even more off course. I was gonna have to land in Boca Chica village or on the rocky, hilly plains of Boca Chica. My piloting wasn't that good, as you can see. I was about 30 degrees off target. but I regained control. Now we're into the critical part where SN8 failed. Yes, my course meant I wouldn't land on the pad. That's now confirmed. Here is the critical moment that I, alongside the computers of SN8, failed. I was going fast, but slower than I was at launch. Here we go. I launched the engines, did a backflip. This time I kept it under control. Do you think I should do another landing on Mars video? Tell me in the comments below. So, I was coming in, and by now the SN8 fuels would be green, and SN8 didn't have enough time to slow down, similar to me, and it was low on fuel, so it exploded. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Please smack that like button and subscribe. We're pumping out loads of epic videos